Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're looking at something that takes the whole mind-body connection to a completely new level. It's called the architecture of expectation. We usually treat our physical health and our mental states as two totally separate things, but the research we're unpacking today proves they are incredibly linked. By the end of this explainer, you're going to see how your mind doesn't just perceive the world around you, it literally shapes your physical reality.
So let's jump right in with a pretty fascinating, honestly kind of mind-boggling mystery. What actually happens when you eat gluten, but there's absolutely no gluten in the food? Just imagine someone who is completely convinced they have a severe gluten sensitivity. They sit down, take a bite of bread, and almost immediately they feel awful. Their brain predicts this huge negative reaction because they are totally certain they just ate a harmful trigger. But here's the catch. What if that bread was literally 100% gluten-free?
Now you might be thinking, well, if there's no gluten, obviously nothing happens, right? Actually, that is completely wrong. These folks experience very real symptoms from a totally imaginary threat. And we're not just talking about feeling a little off. We're talking about measurable physical reactions, rashes breaking out, severe gut issues, and real debilitating discomfort. All of this happening without a single trace of gluten. They aren't faking it at all. It's just their body mounting a very real defense against a total ghost.
Section 1. The Gluten Mystery. Section 2. Placebo versus nocebo.
Okay, so the contrast here is super stark. On one side, we have the classic placebo effect, which is driven by positive expectation, right? The whole "this will help me" mindset. When you believe a treatment's going to work, even if it's literally just a sugar pill, your pain can actually decrease, your symptoms improve, and healing genuinely feels faster. But then, on the flip side, we have the nocebo effect. This is driven by negative expectation, the "this will harm me" belief. When someone expects a bad outcome, their pain actively spikes. Side effects just appear out of nowhere, and existing symptoms actually get worse, even when there is zero physical reason for it.
And honestly, this perfectly explains what we saw in that gluten mystery. The nocebo effect is just the negative counterpart of the placebo. Because those people fully expected the bread to make them sick, that expectation alone triggered the real side effects and worsened their symptoms. Their deep belief that the food was harmful basically became a self-fulfilling physical prophecy.
Section 3. Belief becomes biology. So the crucial point really comes down to this three-step biological sequence. First off, a belief forms. You think, okay, this food is harmful. Second, your brain prepares a response, and it doesn't wait around to double-check the facts. It instantly fires up stress pathways and sends out immune signals. Then, step 3, the body just follows the expectation. The symptoms show up exactly as if the threat was actually there. Your brain is essentially acting like an overzealous bodyguard. It takes your beliefs as absolute fact and just deploys the immune system right then and there.
And here is the really profound insight of this entire explainer. The body does not always distinguish between what is real and what is strongly believed to be real. Just let that sink in for a second. That's how incredibly powerful your subconscious mind really is. If your brain is convinced there's a threat, it is going to command your biology to react, totally regardless of the objective facts.
Section 4. Harnessing your expectations.
So, what does this actually mean for us? Well, the real-world implications are literally everywhere. Take a look at health. Fear of an illness can actually make your physical symptoms worse, while having trust in a treatment can noticeably improve your outcomes. Or think about performance. Walking into a room and thinking, "I can do this," physically primes your brain for better results. But thinking, "I'm going to fail," literally triggers self-sabotage pathways. And in just your daily life, your underlying expectations are constantly dictating your energy levels, your confidence, and even how severely your body reacts to stress. Every single day, your beliefs are running your biology.
But hey, I want to pause here for a second because there is a super important nuance we need to cover. When we talk about the power of expectation, we are absolutely not saying that illness is all in your head or that your symptoms are somehow imaginary. Not at all. If you get a rash from a nocebo effect, that rash is physically there. The pain is totally real. The physiological distress is real. We are definitely not dismissing anyone's suffering here.
What we are saying, though, is laid out in these 3 trigger stages. The symptom itself is a real physical thing, but where it originated might be completely different than you'd expect. It all starts as a psychological trigger, maybe a fear or a strong belief. That belief instantly morphs into a neurological trigger, where your brain starts firing off specific neurotransmitters and stress hormones. And finally, that cascades down into a physical reality. So the end result is 100% physical, but the spark that actually lit the fire, that was entirely psychological. I absolutely love this quote from the source material. Expectation programs the body's response to reality. It's such a great way to think about it. Imagine your body is this highly advanced computer, and your expectations are the software code running it. You are quite literally programming how your heart, your immune system, and your nervous system are going to respond to the world around you, entirely based on what you are deeply convinced is true.
So, how do we actually use this to our advantage? Here are a few practical takeaways. Number 1, be really careful what you believe. If you're constantly repeating negative assumptions like, "This always makes me sick," or "I'm always exhausted," you can actually cause physical harm over time. Number 2, start building constructive expectations. Now, we're not talking about toxic blind positivity here, just a balanced, constructive belief in your body's own resilience. And number 3, question your automatic reactions. Next time you feel a negative symptom flare up, just take a breath and ask yourself, is this really happening? Or am I just reacting to my own assumption? Which brings us to our final, really mind-expanding thought for today. You are not just living in reality, you are living in your interpretation of reality. If this whole gluten mystery teaches us anything, it's that the physical world is really only half the story. The other half is what you actually expect that world to do to you. Remember, sometimes just changing your interpretation can physically change the experience itself. So moving forward, what kind of reality are you going to program for yourself?